Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of our WCW series in TEW 2020. It is the go home show for Uncensored 1996. We have the big matches, obviously, on the pay-per-view. If you've been following along with the series, you already know what they are. But long story short, Ric Flair Sting for the World's Heavyweight Championship, Eddie Guerrero, Diamond Dallas Page for the United States Championship in a ladder match. Tag team titles on the line, the Horsemen defending against Bam Bam Bigelow and Vader, and so much more. We are going to dive right into the action today in front of 4,234 people at the Hammond Civic Center in Indiana. We start off this episode of Nitro with a promo from Randy Savage. As Randy Savage is making his way out to the ring, we get huge news that starting next week, so the first Nitro after Uncensored, WCW Monday Nitro is going to be going to a 2-hour format. That is right, it is going to be a 2-hour show. Right now it's set up as an hour and a half in the game, so it's only an extra half hour that we're adding, but that is going to be a thing starting next week on Nitro, extra half hour for the fans watching at home. It was about this time, maybe a few weeks later in real life, that they went to 2 hours, so I figured it was probably just good to do at this point. But big news aside about getting an extra half hour, we start off with Randy Savage in the ring, kind of promo about Uncensored. He says that people have been asking him all week why he didn't want the Giant first, why he didn't want to take on the Giant at Uncensored, and he said that right now he wants to get into the mind of the Giant. He wants to get into the head of the Giant. He knows that he can't physically stand up to the Giant. The Giant is too big of a man. But all Giants can fall, especially if their minds are messed with. And everybody knows that the Taskmaster is pulling the strings for the Giant, telling the Giant what to do, telling the Giant who to attack, telling the Giant where to go. But you take out the Puppet Master, and that leaves a puppet with strings just left dangling. So at Uncensored, Taskmaster will take out the Giant. Taskmaster will be taken out by Randy Savage, and then it'll be left to Randy Savage and the Giant, and the Giant will not be able to succeed against Randy Savage. So it's kind of a decent idea there. As Savage is getting ready to, kind of explaining all this, all of a sudden, which is very surprising because he's a damn giant, all of a sudden the Giant hits the ring from, coming out from the crowd, coming behind Savage, hits the ring, just attacks him out of nowhere. Taskmaster comes running out, or appears out of nowhere with him. Giant with the choke slam, laying out Savage in the middle of the ring. Taskmaster stands over him, laughing as the Giant just does his roar thing that he does, the roar. So, Giant and Taskmaster getting the final word before Uncensored, but we will have to see, because, Giant, Giant's not going to be in the ring. He's not going to be the one wrestling that matchup. It's going to be Taskmaster, so we're going to have to see what happens with that. I got to imagine that the Taskmaster, even with the attack just now on Savage, however, I gotta imagine that Taskmaster is going to have some difficulties at the pay-per-view. After that, we get a promo from Medusa. She before Dean Malenko has a match here tonight that he's about to head out to, but at first Medusa wants to talk to Gene Okerlund, and Medusa says that she talked about it recently, but she wants a challenge. She wants a match at Uncensored, so she's challenging anybody in the women's division that wants to step up to her, and the challenge gets answered by Jacqueline. So at Uncensored, it is going to be Medusa and Jacqueline one-on-one. Haven't decided if that's going to be a dark match before the show or not yet, but it's going to be on the show. I just haven't decided where it's going to be exactly yet. But we're going to get Medusa and Jacqueline. Should be pretty interesting because they're the two most popular women's wrestlers in the company right now. Technically, the Bad Babe, aka Rena Mero, aka Sable, and Diamond Doll are more popular than Jacqueline, but they don't wrestle. So and I don't plan on having the Bad Babe wrestle. But yeah, so we're going to get Medusa and Jacqueline at Uncensored. Should be interesting to see. We'll have to see how that goes from there. But anyway, as I mentioned, Dean Malenko is coming out to the ring for a matchup, which gets a 72. About that good wrestling and good heat and decent wrestling. Conan with a surprise upset victory, so to speak, over Dean Malenko in 851 by submission with a Tequila Sunrise. He actually gets Dean Malenko to tap out, which is kind of shocking because Dean Malenko's the Iceman. Dean Malenko doesn't really tap out at all, but apparently he taps out here. Conan did some good work on the leg during the matchup and was able to get a clean submission victory. So we'll have to see what that ends up leading to. That's kind of a surprising result there. Conan, recently has been associated with Rikishi Fatu against in his battle with Chris Jericho and Jericho's bodyguard Scott Norton's, happening more on Saturday night. So Conan doesn't really have a whole lot going for him, but a big upset victory like this on Monday Nitro could really propel you into something. That's for sure. But yeah, 72 rating for the match. Pretty good stuff there. And we move on. After that, we get James Mitchell backstage with, I guess he's not backstage. He's out on the stage. He's out there with Meng, and he kind of laughs a little bit and says that people doubted that Meng would be the monster who could dethrone the television champion Johnny B. Bad, and then last week we saw it happen. Meng is going to start on his path of destruction. The television champion is just the first step, or the television championship is just the first step. But he's more he's still in the mindset to claim victims. He wants a next victim because Johnny B. Bad has been claimed as a victim already. And that's when Bad comes out and says, "You may have won that matchup, but you didn't put me down. I want a rematch at Uncensored for the title. And I don't care if you're some big monster or something like that. I am the bad man, and I'm going to make sure that the television title comes back to the waist of the bad man here." So, yeah, I know, not great work there, but nevertheless, 62 rating as we get the rematch made for the television title at Uncensored. Johnny B. Bad challenging Meng for the title. So we'll have to see how that plays out there. After that, as Mitchell and Meng are heading to the back, that's when Chris Jericho comes out, making sure he steers clear of Meng. Kind of lets Meng and Mitchell go first, whatever. But then he storms up to Gene Okerlund, who's getting ready to try to head to the back, and he says, No, you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere, Scheme Gene. You listen to me, okay? Everybody has been trying to claim for weeks now that I'm just some brash nobody who needs to learn his place and blah, 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 this and that. At Uncensored, I'm going to be taking it to that stupid, idiotic rapper known as Rikishi Fatu. And this brings out Fatu. And Fatu kind of stands on the other side of Okerlund. So the two are, Jericho and Fatu are facing each other. And Fatu's like, dude, he's like, listen, whatever beef you think you have with me, if you're using me to introduce yourself to the WCW audience, whatever, you go ahead and do that. But the truth be told, I've been getting the upper hand on you in this whole thing multiple times. Conan defeated your boy on this past Saturday night. He defeated Scott Norton this past Saturday night. In the tag team matchup, Conan and myself defeated you two. Like, your attempts to become popular by defeating me have continued to fail time and time again. And at Uncensored, honestly, I'm just going to go out there, defeat you, and be done with this. I'm going to move on to other things. I want, other opportunities. And I can't get those other opportunities if I have to keep dealing with you. So if you want to keep running your mouth, that's fine. But I'm going to let my fist do the talking on Uncensored. And Fatu leaves. And Jericho's like, whatever, this idiotic moron out here thinks that he knows what he knows what my plan is. He knows what my motives are. He knows nothing. And at Uncensored, I'm going to show him why Chris Jericho is the name you all need to be paying attention to. He walks off all upset, typical Jericho, where he's being like really flustered and upset. So yeah, pretty interesting promo there. It's a way to hype up the match at Uncensored. Gets a 60 rating. That's not too bad. After that, in About the Head, Fantastic Heat and Great Wrestling, an 83 rated matchup. Holy cow! In another submission victory, because apparently tonight's gonna be submission victory night. Bam Bam Bigelow defeated Chris Benoit 9:57. I don't know. Maybe Benoit passed out to a bear hug. I guess I don't know what submission Bigelow's gonna know other than a bear hug. So sure, Benoit passed out in a bear hug. Bam Bam Bigelow gets a victory though, as that gets the challengers for the tag team titles some more momentum heading into Uncensored. We're gonna have to see what if that momentum will actually lead to them winning the titles, or if somehow Benoit and Pillman are able to turn things around. Because of course, Pillman said last week in that promo that Benoit was the rabid Wolverine. He didn't say rabid Wolverine, but he's the most tenacious wrestler you're gonna see. He's the most, he's the man who's driven. He's the man who's focused. He's the man who goes out there and rips people apart. And he just was defeated cleanly in the ring by Bam Bam Bigelow. So we're gonna have to see what happens. We're gonna have to see what happens at the pay-per-view. We could end up seeing a title change. We'll have to see. After that, we get a odd little segment backstage as Cactus Jack is talking to Alex Wright. The two of them are, Alex Wright's kind of, I guess, we come into the conversation when it's already kind of started, but the idea is that Alex Wright approached Cactus Jack for some advice on how to handle a street fight with somebody like Al Snow, because Al Snow is completely insane. But he's asking kind of, what he should be kind of doing advice-wise for a street fight. And some Cactus gives Wright a little bit of advice. The two, the Cactus sees potential in Alex Wright, so he wants to kind of help him out, and Alex Wright kind of respects Cactus. So the two have kind of I don't want to say mutual understanding. That's not the right word, but they get along. So as Cactus is sitting there kind of delivering a few pieces of advice for a street fight, you see Al Snow kind of creepily in the background watching this whole thing play out with a weird smirk on his face. So Al Snow, completely insane, watching on as is going to be Alex Wright and Al Snow at Uncensored in that street fight. We're going to have to see how it ends up playing out. Gets a 63 rating for this. Pretty good stuff there. After that, we get a promo from the American Males, who are actually joined by Harlem Heat. They said that they invited them here for this promo time because they want to make sure that people are aware of everything going on. You see, they're two young up-and-comers in the business. They are a recently formed tag team. They are two young guns, as they say in this business, and they see a legendary team like the Harlem Heat, a team that clearly has gone down, or clearly is one of the better tag teams in WCW. And all they're wanting is just that opportunity. They respect Harlem Heat, and they just want the chance to share the ring with them. Harlem Heat says that they are, one of the top tag teams in WCW, and that they should be, in line for the tag team titles. Well, American Males just want to see if they can stand up to them, see if they can not necessarily, prove that they're way better than them. I mean, they can respect the fact that maybe maybe Harlem Heat is better than them. That maybe Harlem Heat is still has the experience on them and everything like that. They just want that opportunity. They want that opportunity to prove themselves. And Booker's like, yeah, I can respect that. I can respect that. I can respect you wanting that opportunity. We were a young tag team at one point. We were trying to put our foot in the door and get that opportunity, prove that we belonged in the wrestling world. So we can respect that. But don't think that that respect is going to mean that we're going to take it easy on you at Uncensored, because the way we see it, we are knocking on the door for the tag team titles, and a loss, a slip up, or anything like that to you guys would not help our chances. So we respect your desire for this matchup, but we're going to beat you down, suckers, because we are going to be the next WCW Tag Team Champions, and we're not going to let some young guns like you get in our way. So, kind of a little bit of strong words there, but essentially kind of helps develop this match at Uncensored between these two teams. Is mostly just out of respect. You know, Harlem Heat or American Males want to prove that they're a young team that they can try to hang with a top team like Harlem Heat, and Harlem Heat kind of respect that. So, kind of a nice little match built out of respect for these two teams. Should be interesting to see how it plays out. After that, in a non-title matchup, we have Sting defeating Arn Anderson in 10:36 by submission with a Scorpion Deathlock. The idea is, I forgot to explain it earlier in the show, but the idea is that the main event is Diamond Dallas Page and Ric Flair teaming up against Eddie Guerrero and Steve Austin based off of what happened last week at the end of the show. And so because of that, Sting wanted to have a match tonight as well, but since he couldn't fight Flair and he couldn't fight Benoit, and he wanted to, he knows that Austin was fighting Flair, however, he figured he would take on Austin's opponent at the pay-per-view. So 1-on-1 with Arn Anderson and Sting. After botched interference from Brian Pillman, Sting gets the victory by submission with a Scorpion Deathlock, another match that ends in submission tonight. Although this one makes sense because Sting actually does have a submission finisher. Gets a 72 rating. Well, I guess to be fair, Conan has a submission finisher too, but I just wasn't expecting that to end by submission. Anyway, Sting gets a victory here. Non-title victory for the world champion as he heads into Uncensored with that big matchup against Ric Flair. We kind of, yeah, it's what you expect, honestly. Anderson puts up a fight, but Sting gets the victory as he gets another victory over the Horseman before the world title matchup with Ric Flair. 72 rating, good stuff there. After that, we get the investigation continuing with the Blue Bloods. This time they are not at the scene of anywhere. They're not at the scene of any crime at all. They're back in what appears to be a police station. No idea how they got access to this police station, but they're sitting Regal's sitting at a desk with Eden standing nearby. And Regal's like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. We went to the scene of the crime. We investigated. There was no evidence, though. How are we supposed to solve this? And they're kind of going back and forth. And Ian's like, well, I mean, there is potential DNA evidence that, we could try to see if we can get results for. And Regal's like, well, that's amazing. There we go. We've got our way to get the proof to prove that we were not responsible for the attack on Roddy Piper. And Regal's like, okay, where is it? And Ian's like, where's what? Regal's like, the DNA evidence. Where is the DNA evidence? Where's the evidence you? And Ian's like, oh, you meant for this? I thought that you could just say you had DNA evidence and DNA evidence would just kind of be there. I thought that was like a way to investigate stuff. And Regal's like, you bloody idiot. He's not happy about it. And that's when Squire Dave Taylor comes in, carrying a couple coffees, and carrying a couple coffees for Regal and Eden, and Taylor ends up kind of he puts the coffee down, and Regal's like, oh, finally. He goes to take a drink, and he's like, what the bloody hell is this? And Taylor's like, well, it's coffee. Regal's like, I wanted tea, you bloody buffoon. And he gets up and storms off. So some interesting work there in the investigation for the Blue Bloods. I promise I'm not trying to turn them into a comedy team, despite what the segment is coming off as. it's more of my way of, like I mentioned before, it's more of my way of trying to have the Blue Bloods be more diverse characters than just snobby Englishmen. Like, I want them to kind of have some more diversity to their characters. So, but apparently they don't have DNA evidence, despite the fact that Ian thought you could just randomly search or randomly do that thing and get some sort of results without having actual evidence. Not sure what happened there. But yeah, we're gonna have to see where the investigation goes from there at this point. After that, we get a quick promo from Diamond Dallas Page and Ric Flair before the main event. Page says that it is an honor to be teaming up with somebody like Ric Flair, that he won't let him down, and that at Uncensored, both of them are going to be leaving as champions. Page as the United States champion, Ric Flair as the world's heavyweight champion, and it will be truly a better era for WCW at that point in time. And Flair kind of smiles a little bit there and says, "See, this is what WCW needs more of. We need more of these young guns who actually respect people in this company. We need more guys like Page who actually have respect for those who have paved the way before them. Unlike Steve Austin and his disrespectful ways of continuing to come after me and continuing to trying to claim a victory that he cannot get. He lost last month, and he can't seem to understand that he can't defeat the Nature Boy. But tonight the two of us are going to team up, and we're going to defeat Eddie Guerrero and Steve Austin with ease, and then we're going to go on to Uncensored, and we're going to both become champions. And it's going to be a great night for the Horsemen and for Diamond Dallas Page. So, two kind of seem to be getting along pretty well heading into the main event. Main event itself gets a 83 rating, as Eddie Guerrero and Steve Austin defeat Diamond Dallas Page and Ric Flair in 14-15. When Austin pins Page with a stunner, he's kind of just officially started, like, I know he's been kind of using it pretty often, but now it's more of just like he's just using a thing. He's not calling it the Stone Cold Stunner at this point, though, because he's not technically Stone Cold yet. He's just using a stunner. He's basing it off of his Stunning Steve Austin moniker. He's not really going by the Stunning Steve Austin moniker anymore, but they're calling it a stunner because of the fact that he was Stunning Steve Austin. That's kind of the idea behind it. But anyway, Steve Austin gets the victory over Page with a stunner in 14-15. 83 rated for the match, 84 from Austin, 85 from Guerrero, 91 from Flair, 68 from Page. Page was the weak link in the matchup. Steve Austin seemed off his game, so he should have had a better in-ring performance, but that's whatever. Page takes the loss, and after the match, Flair is irate. He's absolutely livid about having that loss happen. He gets in the ring and starts trying to attack Austin, but Sting, who was at ringside, well, he wasn't at ringside, he was kind of he was at the commentary desk at this point. He comes down and helps Austin out, kind of helps fight off Flair. Show ends with Eddie, Austin, and Sting kind of celebrating the ring as Flair and Page are heading up the ramp. Well, Page is still kind of I don't want to say limping up the ramp, but he's barely kind of going up the ramp because he's still kind of stunned, so to speak. And Flair is already most of the way up the ramp, just absolutely just not having anything to do with Page at this point. While we have a little bit of a segment, or a little bit of a quick moment at the end of the show, as the show's fading off to black, we have a little bit of a quick moment with Steve Austin kind of eyeing the World's Heavyweight Championship sitting on Sting's shoulder. Kind of, Sting doesn't quite pick it up. Austin's kind of looking at Sting holding the title up, celebrating over, but it kind of gets shaken off right away. But it's kind of one of those little quick blink and you'll miss it kind of moments. But it's kind of still an interesting moment because Steve Austin still has, he's made his intentions clear that at some point in time he wants a shot at the World's Heavyweight Championship. So it's kind of an interesting thing for Austin to kind of glance at the title right now. Nevertheless, this gets a 77 rating. Loses heat for the storylines, but to be fair, those storylines are super hot right now, so that kind of is just to be expected. The show gets a 83 rating. I will take it. Increased popularity in 23 regions. Good stuff there for sure. So pretty big, pretty interesting go-home show. The challengers for the U.S. and world titles could not get it done against the U.S. champion and Steve Austin. Sting got an untitled victory over Arn Anderson. Bam Bam is getting some momentum for his team against the Horsemen. We saw Savage be choke slammed in the middle of the ring. We'll have to see what kind of condition he's going to fully be in for the pay-per-view. And so much more craziness. The ratings for the week. Again, we had 400,000 more, about 450,000 more viewers, because we got the better coverage at this point. But Raw did have a better rating than Nitro because Raw had a ridiculous main event on their show. They had a 4-way matchup featuring The Undertaker defeating Hogan, Diesel, and Bret Hart to retain the world title. That got a 100 rating. Absolutely ridiculous. There wasn't really going to be much of a way to try to compete with that. We haven't been able to pull off a 100 rated matchup, so that's, that was what it was. But I'll still take it. We won the ratings war, or the viewers war, I guess, so to speak. So another victory for WCW as we head into Uncensored in what should be one heck of a show for sure. But that is going to do it for this episode of Nitro this week. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Hopefully you guys are continuing to enjoy the series. And later on in the week, aka this weekend, we will have our Uncensored pay-per-view, which should be one hell of a show. Thank you for watching. Definitely appreciate it. And we will catch you guys next time.